A tragic mishap. That is what Israel's leader says about an airstrike that took out multiple journalists and first responders at a hospital site in Gaza. Now, as of Monday afternoon, 5 journalists were included in the 20 who were killed, and they were reportedly working for Reuters, AP, Al Jazeera, and the Middle East Eye, and 4 health workers were also taken out. According to the BBC, there were 2 strikes at this hospital site. The first one is said to have hit a building, and specifically CBS says the top floor of the building at Nasser Hospital, and minutes later, as journalists and rescuers were rushing up an outside staircase at that site, a second missile hit. Now, the BBC says that staircase that was hit was one that journalists had often used to get views of that area. So if you're following, the first strike hit the top of a building and the second strike hit the outside staircase, and the whole thing was said to be a tragic mishap. Now, Israel's leader Benjamin Netanyahu said that they do respect journalists and they are going to investigate exactly how this happened. But other people are pointing out that a couple of weeks ago, more journalists were taken out in an airstrike, and they were in a press tent outside of a hospital. And the fact is, all of these journalists had been taken out as other countries, dozens of countries, had been calling on Israel to let international journalists in to freely report on what's happening in Gaza. The BBC says that Israel's military has taken some journalists into Gaza under controlled access, but Israel has banned foreign and Israeli journalists from going into the strip since the war began, basically saying they can't ensure their safety. So international media outlets have been relying on these local journalists who are already there to do the reporting for them, and it's the Israeli strikes that seem to be taking them out. In fact, the Committee to Protect Journalists claims that more journalists have been taken out in Gaza in the past 2 years during this war than in the entire world in the past 3 years. Now, all this is happening, and agencies are reporting that there's a famine going on in Gaza right now, that hundreds of thousands of people are starving. But Israel's leader Benjamin Netanyahu says that that's not true. That is a lie, and they are letting enough aid in. But they still haven't let international or Israeli journalists into the Gaza Strip to go freely report and verify that. Share if you think this is important, and follow for more news.